In your freedoms, I do. You got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine.
Tucker Carlson on his online show decided to go after Donald Trump. It was unexpected, but it was on the topic of the January 6th rioters. Now, let's hear what he had to say while his guest was blaming Trump for not doing enough to save those who wanted to defend his honor.
People are gonna be offended that I asked this, but I can't control myself. So like, what about the president on whose behalf they were gathered that day? Like, has anybody sent them money? I mean, has anybody really raised the people around him? Brad Parscale, all these people are getting rich, right?
Right.
Complaining that the last election was rigged, which it clearly was,
right.
Obviously.
Yes.
And they're making all this money and all these people are sending all this money down to Florida. But is any of that money going to defend these people who went to this rally on behalf of that candidate?
So he wants to know. He wants to know, did Donald Trump step in? These people have gone out of their way to overturn this obviously rigged election. Now, as we know, the election was not rigged. There were multiple recounts. There has been no indication, no evidence whatsoever of widespread voter fraud. But of course, Tucker Carlson is just gonna regurgitate and repeat that nonsense lie. And so he's talking to right-wing columnist Julie Kelly, by the way, and she's about to answer his question. Before she does, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so Anna emphasized that it's on his online show, and actually there's a reason why that makes a difference. And I hate to say this, but I say it almost every time because I need you to understand that it's purposeful in Tucker's case. Tucker is a smart guy. So when Louis Gohmert says something, he's a moron. He might not intend it, he just might actually believe it, right? Tucker doesn't believe any of this stuff. Does he think that this election was rigged? Not 1%. He's just doing that to goose up his base, right? So the reason it's relevant that it's on his online show in this case is he's testing it out. He's dipping his toe in. If he did it on Fox News, where 3 million people would see it, he can get big blowback. He wants to do it on the online show and see, how do people react? Okay, he's A/B testing it in a sense. And then he does all these clever things. He says Trump, he says Florida, but then he then says Brad Parscale got rich and a lot of people got rich. And then he deflects, like, I'm not doing a full attack on Trump. I'm just dipping my toe in to see how receptive you are because I like to be the new boss, right? And then if you notice, he said, I know people are gonna be upset, but I can't control myself. No, he planned the whole thing, including saying, I can't control myself, as if he's the honest truth teller who just, he didn't want to, but he had to tell you the truth, he's better than Trump.
Because he's really concerned about the well-being of the rioters, that's why, right? He's really looking out for them.
And he hangs out with those guys all the time. Oh no, he doesn't. He's an elitist and I would never hang out with those people under penalty of law.
Also, just a side note, Cenk, you could say that he's testing the message. You don't have to say A/B testing, it's okay.
Okay, well, I said it, and I'm not backing away from it.
All right, well, let's get to the answer that he got from this right-wing columnist, Julie Kelly.
It's a question that I've been asking myself, and I know a lot of them have been asking too. We were there, and a lot of them were there to support Trump. They were there to support Trump.
Yeah.
They were there to protest the election being taken from him unlawfully. But aside really from a few comments about political prisoners, and he has said a few things about Ashley Babbitt, to my knowledge, and I'm pretty involved in what's happening with the defendants, especially the detainees, no, there has not been anything, any financial aid coming from anyone of a prominent position to help these people.
I just find that appalling.
I do too.
Really do.
I do
really
too.
find that appalling.
I do too.
Come on, guys. I mean, look, he could afford acting lessons. That was so obviously fake.
But they'll buy it lock, stock, and barrel. Nobody watching they realize it's fake.
I find it appalling. Come on,
yeah.
Come on. Okay, whatever. He doesn't find it appalling.
I'm going to say a bunch of
things. It's a political move.
Yeah, I'm getting the vapors. I find it appalling. I really do. I really do. What is is this Mexican soap opera, a Turkish soap opera, a Korean soap opera? What is this? He almost should have looked away from her and spoken to the camera. You know how they do in the soap opera? I find it appalling.
And the camera pans into his face like a zoom.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, by the way though, Julie Kelly's actually right. So Trump is not supporting those people. They did go to support Trump, and he has abandoned them, and he is sitting on $100 million and putting it in his pocket like we always told you.
100%. And by the way, remember the Trump rally that happened right before the riots ended with Trump's claiming that he was gonna march over to the Capitol with them. But he turned around and went to the White House and like chilled and just like watched TV of everything that unfolded.
100%, because he's a coward. He's an unbelievable coward. Now Tucker wouldn't tell you that. He's got to just test it and see what your tolerance is. And by the way, he's partly doing that because he saw a couple of times audiences didn't agree with Trump. Remember when he got booed in Alabama when he said you should get the vaccine?
In your freedoms, I do. You got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But you got, no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know. But you do have your freedoms. You have to maintain that. You have to maintain that. And you got to get your kids back to school.
Tucker sees weakness there and he thinks, okay, this time.
I jump in it.
Exactly. He's like, time for the capo to move on up. And so, and if you notice, when she said, they were there to support Trump, and Tucker goes, yeah. So look, Tucker has made a correct analysis. Their side, not known for independent thinking. They're very easy to mislead the audience, the voters on the right-wing side. And he thinks, well, Trump brainwashed them into loving an authoritarian figure. Right-wingers generally like authoritarian figures and love to follow people they view to be strong, right? So why don't I just do like 3-card Monty, and then at the end, oh, it's not in front of the cup that you thought it was, Trump, it's in front of me. You should pick me, I'm your authoritarian leader. And we've now shown you through a series of videos exactly how he's doing that. And it's amazing actually, and I give him credit. And by the way, like that's the game that's being played here, but in this particular issue, who's right and who's wrong, we're still incredibly fair. And Tucker is correct on this and Trump is wrong. Trump did take all the money. Those people did go to support him. He didn't give a damn about them, never helped them 1%. So Tucker picked a good topic because, and think about it, that's the last part of it. Tucker here, when he goes after Trump, he does it on his moral high ground. Because he's not going after Trump on something where he's agreeing with the liberal position, of course not, right? He's going after Trump where he is most vulnerable.